She's cold, she's psychotic, she's invisible, and she does more damage than a grizzly on steroids. This time, we'll be looking at everyone's favourite hero to hate, Nova. She's one of the most powerful ghosts ever, but it wasn't a pleasant journey for her to get to where she is, and that left its mark. November Annabella Terra was born into one of the old families of the Terran Confederacy, and she lived in the Terra skyscraper on Tarsonis for most of her youth. She developed psionic abilities as a child, but her parents kept them a secret from her to protect her from the Ghost program. However, it was impossible for them to keep this secret from Nova herself, when at 15, she read the mind of a boy who had a crush on her. A while later, Nova was to be sent away by her parents to keep her safe, but as she was getting on the transport, she telepathically felt the deaths of her parents and ran back home. Rebels were attacking her family and their employees in the skyscraper. Nova was overcome with emotion and lashed out with a huge blast of psionic energy, which killed the rebels, hundreds of bystanders, and destroyed a chunk of the building. After this, Nova fled to hide in a place called the Gutter. Her outburst got the attention of the Ghost program, and the director ordered the Wrangler, Malcolm Kellerchain, to bring her in. Shortly after going to the Gutter, Nova killed 2 men who tried to assault her and was noticed by a man named Fagin, the crime lord of the Gutter. Fagin wanted to recruit Nova and manipulated her into serving him by intimidating her, starving her, and finally by threatening children. Kellerchain found Nova while she was in the service of Fagin and came with a group of Marines to rescue her. During a confrontation between Kellerchain and Fagin, the crime lord was distracted and Nova used one of his henchmen to kill him. She learned from Kellerchain about becoming a ghost, a highly trained assassin with psionic powers. The process involved a memory wipe, which appealed to Nova, who wanted to forget about all the deaths she'd felt through her telepathy. She escaped with Kellerchain when the Zerg attacked, and went on to begin her training. Ghost training was a challenge for Nova. In the beginning, she struggled due to the abuse and malnutrition she'd suffered while living in the Gutter, and problems she was having with the other trainees. The trainees were split up to undergo team-based training. Nova herself excelled and was ranked highly, despite her complete lack of teamwork. This led to more problems between her and the other trainees. Things began to improve for Nova after a confrontation with her team leader, Gabriel Tosh, who finally got her to work as part of the team. Over the course of the training, Nova and Tosh fell for each other. Although, romance between trainees was forbidden, and Tosh rejected her advances out of fear that they would be reported. Soon after, the trainees were put into a new team and set out aboard the battlecruiser Cyrus on an off-world training mission. On the way to their destination, they diverted because they picked up a distress call. The source was a couple of children that Nova knew from the old families. After using nukes to clear the area of Zerg, they landed transports on the planet and began to search for the survivors. During the search, Nova detected 2 more survivors, and they set out to rescue them as well. With all the survivors, the ghosts began making their way back. Then, the Zerg attacked and destroyed the transports. Meanwhile, the Cyrus was also brought down. Nova and Tosh rekindled their relationship, but during the fighting, Nova destroyed the Zerg with her psionic powers and injured Tosh in the process. The ghosts managed to make it off-world with the survivors, and everyone but Tosh had their memories wiped. Nova went to see Tosh after hearing that he had been in an accident and was having delusions. This made it impossible for her to believe him when he tried to tell her about the mission. It was as if Nova were never there at all. She focused on her training for the remainder of her time in the program and finished in record time. To complete her training, she met with the Emperor Arcturus Menx and was told to kill a terrorist named Cliff Nadner, who was in charge of the rebels who killed her family. She went in alone, killed his troops, confronted him, and killed him with cold efficiency. Having completed her training, Nova was sent on a mission under the command of Colonel Jackson Haller. Her mission was to investigate the disappearances of other ghosts and a Wrangler on a planet called Altara. She went in alone again and found the Wrangler Kellerchain. He recognized her immediately, but she didn't know who he was due to her memory wipes. While bringing Kellerchain back to Haller's ship, the Palatine, Nova was in a fight with some Zerg and her face mask was damaged. This exposed her to some terrazine gas in the environment, and she started having flashbacks of memories that had been wiped. She finished the fight and passed out. She woke aboard the Palatine and remembered Kellerchain. Together they went to the bridge and Mensk sent a message that he wanted to speak to them privately. He told them to find the missing ghosts and to put a stop to whoever was abducting them. Nova and Kellerchain began to investigate in a nearby town. They could both feel the presence of a team of ghosts that had been assigned to help them, but Nova felt another presence similar to a ghost, a spectre. They went back to the ship and learned that Mensk's palace had come under attack. Horla sent Nova and the ghosts in, but they were ambushed on the way to the palace by a group of spectres led by Tosh. Nova's team were either killed or taken away, but Nova broke free and began killing the spectres. The spectres retreated, and Nova continued on to the palace. When she arrived, Nova was ambushed by another spectre who cut her back and sprayed her with more terrazine gas. She awoke to Tosh standing over her. He tried to recruit her into becoming a spectre, but Marines came and chased the spectres away. Nova was taken back on board Horla's battlecruiser. While there, she and Kellerchain began discussing their next move when she realised that he was in love with her. He even named his own ship the November. Aww. While they were talking, knockout gas was released into the room and they fell unconscious. Nova woke up and spoke to Horla. She discovered that he was a man named Cole Bennett, who was in charge of secret research involving terrazine gas. He threatened Kellerchain in order to make Nova help him overthrow Mensk. She was to break into his palace and force him to confess to his illegal activities. Nova agreed to help him, but instead planned to escape. She remained on board Bennett's ship and launched the November. Bennett was tricked into thinking she'd left, while Nova actually went to a nearby station to rescue Kellerchain. After breaking into the station, Nova ran into a spectre named Kath Toom, an old friend who trained with Nova at the Ghost Academy. They fought briefly, with Nova knocking her out. She stole Toom's weapon and spectre suit and continued. Nova reached Kellerchain's cell and freed him, but on the way back to the ship they were cut off by Bennett. He grabbed Kellerchain and threatened him again to control Nova. During his supervillain monologue, he confessed to attacking and killing Toom. Nova relayed this information to Tosh, who was nearby. Tosh barged in to confront Bennett, and during the fight, Nova was able to telekinetically throw a stalactite and impale him. Once things calmed down, Tosh invited both Nova and Kellerchain to join him. Instead, they escaped and flew away. A while after, Nova was sent to kill Tosh and stop his spectres. She discovered he was working with James Rayner, so she sent an encrypted message to try and break up the partnership by exposing Tosh as a spectre. This wasn't enough to stop them working together, so Nova was forced to contact them again. This time, she revealed herself and told Rayner about the spectres Tosh wanted to break out of prison. At this point in the Wings of Liberty campaign, Rayner has a choice to side with either Tosh or Nova. If the player chooses to side with Tosh, Nova warns the guards but is unable to prevent the breakout. If the player sides with Nova, Rayner and Nova assault Tosh's Spectre training facility. Working together, they destroy the facility and kill several Spectres. After the destruction of his facility, Tosh contacts Rayner and threatens him with some voodoo. Although Nova is able to sneak up and finally kill him, all stabby in his back face. She gave Rayner the tech required to train ghosts and disappeared. Nova can still be seen from time to time aboard Rayner's ship, probably just hanging out or something. Nova was last seen leading the team that was sent to capture Kerrigan after she was turned human again. Kerrigan escaped, but Nova captured Rayner instead. Nova was also the protagonist in the game StarCraft Ghost, which Blizzard announced in 2002. The game would have followed the story of Nova dealing with the Spectres, but sadly, it was never released.